Okay. I would like to call to order today's meeting of the Board of Prison Commissioners for Thursday, April 28th, to order. Could I ask the clerk to take the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Governor Steve Sisolak.
Here.
Attorney General
Here.
Attorney General Aaron Ford.
He wasn't going to be able to make today's meeting, I think.
Here. I'm here. I'm on the phone.
Secretary of State Barbara Sadowski.
Sorry, I'm playing last night. Aaron, are you there?
I'm here. Yes. Can you hear me okay?
I
can hear him, but it's very faint.
I heard it real tiny.
I'm here. Can y'all hear me okay?
Now we can. Okay.
Once again, Secretary of State Barbara Sadowski.
Didn't you say ahead of time she couldn't come? That's an excuse.
Then we do have a quorum established, Governor. We're ready to proceed.
Okay, we have a quorum. I'll move on to agenda item number 2, public comment. This is the first time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item on today's agenda, please step forward, identify yourself for the record, and comments are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public comment in Carson City?
For the record, Bill Cuenca, Deputy Director. Governor, I do not see anyone here for public comment.
Okay, do we have any public comment in Las Vegas? Come on up. Oh.
Morning.
Morning.
For the record, my name is Patricia Atkinson, and my comments and objections relate to each regulation under consideration. Number 1, NRS 233B must be applied to all regulations prior to inclusion into the Nevada Register of Administrative Regulations. The Governor's Finance Office, Division of Internal Audits, conducted a recent audit of the department, report number 2205. This audit included a review of the Nevada Register of Administrative Regulations. For the record, the audit determined that NDOC has not submitted any regulation at any given time to begin the public rulemaking process.
You've been muted.
See
To
report
unmute
2205,
yourself,
page
press
3.
*6.
The point of relevance is that executive branch agencies cannot bring a regulation into existence with the force and effect of the law by way of merely a
Hello.
Regulations are clothed with only the appearance of validity by utilizing a stated effective date with the director's signature fixed. This amounts to nothing more than a trick or scheme. Submission into the public record in a Nevada Register of Administrative Regulations in this way implicates fraud and de facto. Number 2, failure to follow 233B results in regulations that contradict or conflict with the statute they are intended to implement. The need of corrections to AR 521 are tied to the fact that AR 521 does contradict and conflict with the enabling statute 209.481. Today's version of AR 521 needs to be retitled as corrected AR 521 for today's purpose. Please remember that this board is not exempt from 233B and is charged with the duty to approve the department regulations. Number 3, Offender Management Division memorandum issued a directive that contradicts and conflicts with the corrected AR 521. AR 521 has now been corrected in order to comply with the enabling statute 209.481 to allow offenders that do not have a conviction of violence within the immediately preceding 12 months to participate in minimum custody. AR 521 now establishes eligibility within 4 years of the offender's PED. However, the directive issued by OMD, Chief Kirk Wildmar, dated April 21st, 2022, directs the exclusion or preclusion of offenders based upon acts of murder, attempted murder, and voluntary manslaughter. For the record, I object to the directive in the OMD memorandum on the grounds it stands in conflict with the enabling statute 209.481. I'll continue.
Okay.
It's 3 minutes. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak during public comment? Seeing no one, I'll close the public comment. Do we have any written or telephonic?
Can you all hear me?
public
This
comment?
is Aaron Ford.
Yeah, those were sent to, the officers for review. There were 27 different, emails that we received from Return Strong. And, your office should have done.
I got a packet of, a big packet of, public comment. It was the same public comment, you know, over and over again. I mean, just
Yes, it
duplicating a
was.
different person's name. That
Yes,
was the public comment?
yes, they used a template and just inserted different people's names.
Okay. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 3, acceptance and approval of minutes. Do I have a motion on the minutes? General Ford? Aaron?
Governor, this Deputy Director Cuenca, AG4, cannot hear at this time. They're working on it with IT at this time.
Okay, we're gonna have to wait then for.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Now we hear you. Okay, who's running IT? Okay, can you get him on the phone, please? Forget the fancy stuff, just get him on a cell phone so that we can hear him.
Hand raised.
Or do you want me to call?
You are no longer muted. Hand lowered.
Can anyone hear me now?
Yeah, Aaron, it's Steve. Okay, IT, can you turn off the static, please? Eric?
I can hear you now. I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Yes, sir. Okay, we're just gonna have to do you on the cell phone here because we've got an IT problem, apparently. Okay, and if I could ask that this gets worked out ahead of the meetings, who's ever running the IT, if we could check this stuff out, please? Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion on the minutes?
I'll move approval on the minutes, Governor.
We have a motion for approval. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 4, Director Daniels, comments and updates.
Good morning, Governor Sisolak and General Ford. For the record, my name is Charles Daniels, Director, Nevada Department of Corrections. The Nevada Department of Corrections remains committed to the health and safety of its employees, offenders, and volunteers. We continue to be diligent in providing selfless service to the citizens of Nevada. As our state continues to transition into a new normal, in-person public meetings have resumed, not only for the Board of Prison Commissioners, but for other state agencies, to include but not limited to the Nevada Board of Parole Commissioners, the Public Utilities Commission, and the Nevada State Board of Medical Examiners Regulatory Workshop. The Board of Prison Commissioners meeting announcements are posted in accordance with NRS 241. As we transition from the temporary policy changes enacted to keep all Nevadans, including the offenders in our custody, safe to the extent possible from contracting the COVID-19 virus, restrictions that affected essential areas such as visitation, programs, religious services, and inmate work assignments are being wrapped up to pre-COVID levels. These efforts are strategically planned by NDOC's medical and correctional professionals who rely heavily on recommendations from the Center of Disease Control, CDC, and the Southern Nevada Health District, and in compliance with mandates established by the governor's office. Mental illness is a health crisis that affects people around the world. We have well-trained medical and mental health professionals to screen for mental illness and to provide adequate treatment for offenders who suffer from mental illness and other health-related concerns. Approximately 20% of NDOC's offenders currently have a mental health concern. We actively follow those offenders to ensure compliance with treatment plans to ensure they remain stable. In closing, I have the following subject matter experts available in medical, correctional operations, correctional programs, human resources, fiscal, prison industries, as well as the Inspector General to address questions and concerns related to agenda items. This concludes my overview, and if there are any questions or comments, Governor Sisolak, if you don't mind, I can go straight to Dr. Menev, if that's okay with you.
That's great.
Dr. Menev.
Good morning, Governor. For the record, my name is Dr. Michael Minev. I'm Medical Director for the Nevada Department of Corrections. As a result of the steady decline in infection rate, a memorandum was sent out on March 22nd, 2022 to all NDOC staff that the Nevada Department of Corrections will no longer require interval COVID-19 testing of offenders, staff, and visitors. In addition, proof of vaccination for COVID-19 will no longer be required for entrance into our facilities. Screening protocols for COVID-19 will continue at all NDOC facilities as follows. Staff and visitors with flu-like symptoms will not be allowed to enter any facilities. Hand sanitizers, gloves, and additional personal protective equipment will be available upon request. COVID-19 testing will continue for intake offenders and in select circumstances. We continue to offer COVID-19 vaccinations and are prepared to implement protocols, techniques, and procedures in accordance with CDC guidelines to mitigate the spread of any emergent COVID-19 virus variants at all of our facilities. A major initiative for the next budget cycle is to request an electronic health record system, automated prescription dispensing devices, and additional providers and staff to ensure we deliver robust medical care that exceeds community standards for our incarcerated population. Lastly, I would like to thank all the providers and staff for their dedication and hard work throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still ongoing. Despite losing a significant number of staff in the last year and facing serious deficiencies in resources, our medical professionals remain dedicated to providing offenders with exceptional medical care. Governor Sisolak, that concludes my portion of the briefing. I'm available for questions.
Thank you, Doctor. Go ahead. Mr. Daniels, want to go to Bill next?
Good morning, Governor, General Ford. For the record, my name is Bill Gitter, Deputy Director of Operations for NDOC. Since our last meeting, we've been able to sufficiently maintain the operational safety, security, and inmate services at our institutions and facilities across the state. However, the differences in staffing levels between our northern and rural regions compared to our southern region have had a significant impact on those capabilities. In the southern region, vacancies are a growing concern, but we are able to support normal operations with inmate services and programming by leveraging overtime without causing too much distress. In the northern region, however, operations continue to be heavily dependent upon modified activities and high levels of both voluntary and mandatory overtime to the point of a growing safety and security concern. On the scale of measured stress indicators, all four of our department's northern institutions rank 1 through 4 on our most stressed list. Unfortunately, the current challenges sometimes cause disruptions in inmate services, which inmates, families, and advocacy groups bring to our attention. As they do so, we investigate and attempt to resolve them as much and as quickly as possible. To that end, we have opened up an informal communication channel with the leadership of the Return Strong Advocacy Group and appreciate their assistance in resolving several individual matters so far. In early February, each warden identified a retention and recruiting leader to work with their human resource specialists. To date, that partnership has produced modest yet encouraging results that would have otherwise not have been realized. In addition, the department has taken 3 steps to rebalance workloads across the state to reduce high overtime burdens at its 3 most stressed northern institutions. The department also plans to take an additional 4th step in May, which should further reduce the overtime burden to its at its 2 most stressed northern institutions to make them safer. As the COVID threat has diminished, the department has resumed normal visiting operations and returned to supporting its evidence-based programs to the very best of its staffing capabilities. In the South, that means much the same as pre-pandemic levels. In the North, it means not much more than what we experienced during COVID, as staffing has now taken over as the rate-limiting factor. For the coming quarter, we intend to continue our retention, recruiting, and workload rebalancing efforts. That completes my operations update. I welcome your questions or comments before I turn it over to our next speaker, which will be Deputy Director Brian Williams.
Great, go ahead.
Good morning, Governor and General Ford and representatives of Secretary of State Sagaski's office. For the record, my name is Brian E. Williams, Sr., Deputy Director of Programs for the Department. As we strive to restore a sense of normalcy to the department, the Programs Division continues to work closely with facility administrators in creating program schedules that are conducive to the day-to-day operations. With relaxed COVID protocols allowing for an increase in daily operations, i.e. movement, group settings, and community providers' entrance, we understand that safety and security is optimal. Each department in the Programs Division have developed post-COVID schedules that will dovetail with the daily and safe operations of our facilities. During the time of COVID, there were numerous concerns, issues, and complaints from offenders' loved ones. I would like to take this opportunity to say, we heard you. Although I'm unable to address all the concerns that have been presented over this time frame, I would like to share we have tentatively scheduled a meeting for the second week of May with ACLU and Return Strong to discuss these concerns and work together to resolve. We cannot anticipate what 2022 might look like. However, the Department and Programs Division will continue to explore new ideals in an attempt to enhance existing services and provide additional services to the offender population while continuing to utilize evidence-based programs and best practices. We are also very cognizant that we may need to alter our trajectory once again should COVID affect operations. But our department and staff are fully committed to continue the fight and keep our staff, offenders, volunteers, and visitors safe as we work towards normalcy. And that concludes my report, sir, if you have any questions.
Thank you. No, good.
I'd like to move to the next, and that would be Deputy Director of Fiscal Services, Lisa Lucas.
Good morning, Governor Sisolak and General Ford. For the record, my name is Lisa Lucas, Deputy Director of Support Services for Department of Corrections. Excuse me. NDOC has been working with the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology on an RFP to get fiber to our rural facilities for improving our telemedicine. Improving our telemedicine will benefit offenders by allowing improved access, improved health outcomes, in cost-effective ways with more availability to clinical services. Improved telemedicine will also reduce medical transport costs for NDOC. Aramark food contract is on the May 10th BOE agenda, and until that time, previous food contracts have been extended and food orders placed for Q4 so we can continue to offer 3 nutritional meals a day to all offenders. We also have 2 RFPs currently in progress, the inmate cable RFP and the inmate communications RFP. The evaluation for the inmate cable RFP has just been completed, but no vendor has been selected yet, and that should occur this week. The inmate communications RFP is currently under committee evaluation. There were 11 vendor applicants, so it has an extended evaluation time to ensure enough time is available to fairly evaluate all submissions. That completes my update, and I welcome any questions or comments.
Thank you.
Good morning, Governor. Bill Quenya, Deputy Director, Department of Corrections, Industrial Programs. Prison Industries is in communication with Western Nevada College and Nevada Rural Housing Authority to address affordable housing in rural Nevada. Recently, I traveled to Boise, Idaho to tour Gurdon Manufacturing, which is approximately 250,000 square feet in a building modular affordable housing, and trying to bring that information back to our program to help Nevadans to affordable housing. Prison Industries is looking at starting operations in Carson City to manufacture the modular housing in Mesquite, Carlin, Wells, and Ely. Projects have been already completed in Eureka, Nevada. The offenders will get training skills and certifications in plumbing, electrical, and construction. The age group in the construction industry is close to retiring, and there is a lack of future skilled construction workers in the state. In working with Nevada Builders Alliance, these offenders will have the skills to backfill the lack of workforce. Prison Industries has a strong relationship with Western Nevada College in providing and developing training, education, and placement of offenders released from the Prison Industries program. Western Nevada College has successfully obtained a grant and purchased 2 Lincoln welding simulators for the use and training of offenders in prison industries. The simulators will provide the offenders welding skills and develop skills in MIG and TIG welding applications before using an actual welding machine. WNC is also working with Bank of America and Greater Nevada Credit Union to provide training to offenders on financial wellness, financial literacy, and better money habits. We are in communication and looking forward to providing this training to better educate our offenders in financial responsibility. That concludes my presentation. I'm open for any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Director. Kimberly Smith?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Governor Sisolak and General Ford. My name is Kimberly Smith, and I'm the Chief Human Resources Officer for the Nevada Department of Corrections. As of January 12, 2022, the emergency regulation expired. And on February 28, 2022, an all-staff HR memo was sent out informing employees that any letter of reprimand that was distributed as a result of failing to comply with the mandate was hereby rescinded and was no longer contained in any folder or personnel file. In efforts to combat our staffing challenges, the NDOC formally extended an open invitation to those who left the agency due to the mandate. We are asking those who left to reconsider coming back to being a part of the team. Human Resources is working with recruiting sergeants at our facilities in the North and in the South by attending local and out-of-state job fairs as budget allows, sir. We continue to connect with the local colleges and universities in the North and South so that NDOC's mission is visible. While budget continues to still be a hindrance for NDOC, we are still dedicated to being innovative, inventive, and pioneering as it relates to doing more with less. We have submitted a BCR in efforts to garner recruitment funds needed and quite frankly required if we want to make any traction with relevant and deliberate recruitment and retention efforts. NDOC remains conscientious, forward-thinking, accountable, essential, and the correctional officers and all staff play a pivotal role within the organization by exerting the incredible responsibility of maintaining the order and safety of NDOC's facilities. That concludes my portion, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Governor Sisolak and Attorney General Ford. For the record, my name is James Jones, NDOC Inspector General. I have nothing to add at this time, and that concludes our update.
Boy, that's a good report. I appreciate that. Except for 8 of them. Okay, thank you. General Ford, do you have any questions?
I have none. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to we're going to pull items number 12 and 16, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's move on to item number 13. Are we going to take these one at a time?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can I get a brief synopsis of each of them? I don't need a long.
Yes, sir.
Please.
Exhibit number 13, Alpha and Bravo, is the Administrative Regulation 502, Youthful Offender Classification. Most of the revisions on this were based on verbiage and proper assignment of youthful offenders within the NDOC. We have Deputy Director Brian Williams, Brian E. Williams Sr., and Kirk Whitmer, Chief of Offender Management, to answer any questions that you or the Attorney General would like.
Do you have any questions, General Ford?
I don't, Governor.
Do you want to make a motion?
Move approval.
Move approval on items 13A and B. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 14.
Item number 14 is Administrative Regulation 503, Conduct of Object Classification. Again, the majority of this was updated for current language and verbiage to to meet our strategic plan and classification of offenders within the NDOC. For AR 503, we have Deputy Director Brian E. Williams Sr. and Kirk Whitmer, Chief of Offender Management, to answer any questions.
General Ford, do we have any questions?
No questions here. Move
We have
approval.
a motion.
Yes, sir.
We have a motion of approval. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 15.
All right. Agenda item 15 Alpha and 15 Bravo is Administrative Regulation 504, which is the initial classification process for the Nevada Department of Corrections, as well as verbiage language cleanup within this AR. It was an update to create the ability to classify offenders to the correct facilities where programs, vocational, and their risks and needs can be met. We have Deputy Director Brian E. Williams Sr. and Kirk Whitmer, Offender Management Chief, to answer any questions, sir.
Okay, any questions? General Ford, do I have a motion? A motion for approval, any discussion? Hearing seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Item number 17.
Item number 17, Alpha and Bravo is Administrative Regulation 658, the reasonable accommodation of offenders with disabilities. The department rewrote this AR not only to update the verbiage, but also to maintain compliance with the classification of offenders with recognized disabilities. We have Dr. Menev here to answer any questions that you or General Ford have.
Do we have any questions on this one? Do we have a motion? Do we have a motion for approval, any discussion? Hearing seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 18.
Item number 18 is AR 707, which is the offender disciplinary process. This AR was rewritten to not only clean up the verbiage within the AR, but also to adjust some of the older offenses and streamline the entire disciplinary process within the NDOC. We have Deputy Director Brian E. Williams Sr. and Kirk Widmar, Chief of Offender Management, to answer any questions, sir.
Okay, do we have any questions on item number 18?
I have no questions.
We have a motion for approval, any discussion? Hearing seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 19.
Number 19, sir, is offender grievance procedure, Administrative Regulation 740. Not only was there a verbiage cleanup within this AR, but there was also timelines and streamlining into the offender grievance process. We have Deputy Director Brian E. Williams Sr. and Kirk Widmar, Chief of Offender Management, to answer any questions, sir.
Any questions?
No, sir. I move approval.
A motion for approval, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, that was handled smoothly, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Moving on, item number 20, public comment. This is the second time set aside for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board on any item under our jurisdiction, please step forward and identify yourself for the record, and comments be limited to 3 minutes.
Governor, Deputy Director Cuenca, we have one in the north.
I think I recognize her. Go ahead.
Good morning, Governor. Can you hear me?
I can.
Perfect. This is Holly Wellborn, Policy Director for the ACLU of Nevada. I just wanted to make a few comments. I am very grateful for the conversation I had with Deputy Director Williams yesterday. We spent about an hour on the phone, and I'm looking forward to our ongoing and upcoming conversations, and for those to happen quarterly. We're also, we looked at the offender grievance procedure policy and some of the changes for the exhaustion time periods were welcome changes in the grievance procedure process. Moving forward, we hope that we can work together to help those in your custody better understand how the grievance procedure works. And so we have, some additional recommendations that we'll make at the upcoming meeting in May to further develop that policy and procedure. You also should have received some written comment from members of Return Strong and I believe the Progressive Leadership Alliance of Nevada and several other organizations regarding call-in public comment options. One benefit of the COVID-19 pandemic that it opened up opportunities for people with loved ones in custody to call in and participate in meetings at a higher level, at a level that they weren't able to participate in before, because they had that ease of access to share with this committee, this commission, their insight on whatever regulations they're facing, issues that are happening with their loved ones. And now that this meeting has moved into in-person comment only, it's inhibiting their ability to participate. The Board of Prison Commissioners is not subject to the Administrative Procedures Act. There's a limited amount of time for the public to digest different proposals and administrative regulations, and for people to have that opportunity to comment in a meaningful way. And one way to resolve that is to allow people to come in for this public comment period. So we do encourage you to allow a call-in option. Thank you.
Thank you, Holly. Do we have anybody else up north?
For the record, Bill Cuenca, Deputy Director. Governor, no, there's no one else in the room.
Okay, Southern Nevada.
Good
morning again. My name is Patricia Atkinson, for the record. For the record, I object to the directive in the OMD memorandum on the grounds it stands in conflict with the enabling statute 209.481. Also, I object to the failure to provide this OMD memorandum at this public meeting. Further, I object to the eligibility limitation of 4 years and recommend a period of 6 years. It serves the public interest as it is less costly to house an offender in camp, and a longer transition period in an advantage to the offender's reintegration into society. Simply put, OMD cannot unilaterally impose criteria that is not voted on by this board and which works to undermine 233B requirements. Continuing OMD covert conduct like this has been a long-standing problem in Nevada. OMD classifies security threat groups to minimum custody. Convicted sex offenders are also classified to gene conservation camps in direct violation of the enabling statute 209.481. Offenders entitled to minimum custody are prevented from consideration and participation related to covert OMD practices and policies. Please see my email to Deputy Attorney General Gilmer related to this matter and submitted to this board. Lastly, for the record, I have been notified that a department official considers my board presentations a personal matter, implicating his official standing, and has cited this at his reasoning to personally prevent my husband, Michael Atkinson, from participation in programs at NNCC. It is not personal. This alarms me greatly. To be clear, both my husband and I are working hard in a capacity related to our civic duty and to ensure that officials act in conformance with our systems of law. Preventing my husband from programs on this basis should be reviewed. For the record, my husband saved my life and my unborn child's life when I was attacked. He is our hero and he's a good man. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else in Southern Nevada wishing to provide any public comment? Hearing and seeing none. Do you have any comments, General Ford?
I don't.
Thank you, sir. That being said, we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Much better with the presentations. Yes, sir. Thank you.